Registration is open for the Teleris Partner Summit happening July 31st to August 2nd at the Gaylord Texan Resort. Come and get the most current information on industry and technology trends at the pinnacle education event of the year. We're going to have 3 general sessions, 40 educational breakouts, a 2-day trade show, over 118 suppliers, a technology demo center, 2 award shows, a 5K run, and of course, some parties to remember. We're excited to welcome as a keynote Josh Linkner, an inspiring entrepreneur who built and sold 5 tech companies. Yes, 5 tech companies. He also became a New York Times bestselling author, created over 10,000 jobs, helped launch over 100 startups, and wait for it, created over $1 billion of investor returns. Josh will be teaching us his breakthrough innovation framework and how every problem can be solved and every opportunity seized. We're also excited to hear from Alan Stein Jr. Alan has learned from top leaders and coaches and then worked as a performance coach for some of the highest performing athletes on the planet, including NBA superstars Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and Kobe Bryant. He takes those lessons learned and then will teach you how to achieve more from your sales efforts. More sales revenue, more team cohesion, more loyal customers. You can achieve more by executing the basics consistently. Go to Teleris.com/PS to learn more and register. Welcome to the podcast that is designed to fuel your success in selling technology solutions. I'm your host, Josh Lopresto, SVP of Sales Engineering at Teleris, and this is Next Level Biz Tech. Everybody, welcome back. Today we are talking about something different. We got secrets for you. More specifically, we've got the top 3 secrets to help the customers monetize their Wi-Fi platform. And you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I could sell Wi-Fi or venture down that road. I've never done that. Don't worry, we're going to cover all that. We're going to get into it. And today to tell us about some of these secrets here, we've got Shawn Nace with us. And Shawn Nace is the Sales Engineering Manager at Telesystem. Shawn, welcome on, man.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me.
So, Shawn, first, as we kick these things off, we like to hear about everybody's background. Everybody comes from all kinds of different places. Sometimes this industry sucks us in. Sometimes we didn't know we were going to end up here. Sometimes we wanted to be here from the day one, and we just knew. So, would love to hear just your personal background story. We know where you're at now because we just mentioned your title, but where did it start for you?
Sure, where did it start for me? So in college, I studied business, and I always had a fascination with technology. Always loved the newest gadgets and so forth. But I realized kind of late in my college career that I didn't want to work with numbers. I had a concentration in finance. I realized that it probably wasn't for me. So I jumped on the opportunity to join a CLEC in Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, years ago, and kind of worked my way up through the ranks of support, eventually running a knock at a CLEC called Line Systems, and then moved over to sales as I kind of just had a real desire to get in front of customers and demo solutions. Like, remember when hosted PBX was new and we all had to demo these cool little user interfaces. I was the kind of go-to guy for that. So sales engineering was just a logical progression for me. I've loved it.
So fill us in a little bit about for anybody that doesn't know, right? I mean, today we're gonna hone in a little bit on something key that Telesystems does. But first of all, just tell us a little bit about who Telesystems is, what you guys are, what's all in the portfolio, and kind of what the go-to-market motion is.
Yeah, thanks. So we're a national voice and data provider, a service provider we've been working with Polaris now, I think 5 or 6 years. A lot of people, know us for having a really extensive portfolio, whether it's best-in-class switching solutions powered by Metaswitch or BroadSoft, Type 2 access with DDoS protection. More recently, where we're really getting a lot of traction is with things like cybersecurity or our extensive managed Wi-Fi solution that includes a bit of IoT, offering on top of that. So, we're definitely not your household name, but we're I'd say the best kept secret in telecom, and we're the word's getting out there.
So let's talk about that. I think sometimes when the partners think about what can I talk to my customers about, what can I help them with, right? obviously a lot of folks in this industry kind of started out in connectivity, and then in came UCAS, and now we have kind of all these ancillary services from CX to cloud to security, like you mentioned, and all these other things. And I think for a long time, it felt like the Wi-Fi side of things was left to the VARs, the MSPs, the SIs, the integrators, things like that. So, we think of common names, obviously, like a Meraki's and Arubas and all of these. But this, from your perspective, just define really how you first learned about this whole broader Wi-Fi landscape, and is it as simple as plug and play? Why or why not?
Yeah, it's definitely not as simple as plug and play, and it really shouldn't be. Customers like to, a lot of times when customers ask for a quote, it's like, hey, you could just have a quote for 3 access points, or I have a 10,000 square foot building on one floor. Can you just tell me what I need? Unfortunately, it's just not that simple anymore. Wi-Fi has really evolved over the years. Now we're using this technology called Wi-Fi 6, which, for those of you who don't know, it actually supports up to, well, over a gig's worth of throughput, 1.5 gig, and sometime in the near future with some upgrades up to 10 gig. So that really changes the whole landscape about how you need to design a solution, not just the Wi-Fi access points and the number of users on the network, the expected throughput, but even things like cabling. If you think about it, even Cat5e can't support greater than a gig's worth of throughput over 100 meters, right? You have the limitation on the port size of the switch. 1 gig is going to be your choke point at that point. So, Wi-Fi design and deployment has to take into account a whole lot of different solutions, or a whole lot of different factors, including the switches, the wiring, the physical space. And Telesystem does a great job with it. We have multiple Wi-Fi wireless technologies, and we also use a predictive surveying tool called Ekahau, which literally allows us to purposely design or optimize that RF coverage for each building. So if you think about it, you have an old historical building with brick walls, maybe 10-foot ceilings. That's going to have a lot different coverage than, say, a warehouse with, a warehouse with 30-foot ceilings and maybe paper rolls in between there, right? It's a lot more difficult to penetrate certain spaces. So we really optimized and placed those physical access points on what's best for that customer in that particular space. And I think we do a great job at Telesystem with that.
So how does like you mentioned, right? We know this isn't just a quote. It's not something that we can just go, oh, you need widget A, widget B, right? What does a pre-sales process like that look like? You mentioned you've got some cool stuff that you use to leverage that. Is that a remote survey? Is that a you come on site survey? What's that experience like?
Yeah, good question. So, initially, our call is always a discovery. So we work with our partners. We work with Teleris and their SPDMs and the sub agent, ideally with the end user customer, looking at a floor plan. So we look at that space again, the floors, the size of the buildings, the makeup of that space, and we ask them what they're looking for. Are they looking for a certain throughput, a certain number of users that they're expected to occupy that space, where they don't need coverage, maybe even. And then we're designing that Wi-Fi solution using mostly predictive surveys. We can come on site too, but it's just an added cost that I wouldn't say it's cost prohibitive, but it's very expensive to come on site and physically walk out that space and use a sidekick, which is just a really cool tool, but it doesn't always work out for the customer's benefit. So we can do it a lot more efficiently and in a more timely manner using this predictive tool, both pre and post sale.
Cool. All right. So if I flash back to one of the first times that we had a conversation with you and our team from the engineering side, there were some cool stuff that in my mind you guys stood out with that you can do from an analytics perspective. Walk me through what that product means to you, what it is, why it stands out, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So our Wi-Fi engagement analytics solution, I think we're probably one of the few in the channel offering this, but we're certainly it's certainly changing the landscape when it comes to Wi-Fi. We're now able to monetize customers' Wi-Fi. So think about a retail customer, a large event space like a stadium, or a trampoline park, which we can talk about a little bit later. But all these customers have Wi-Fi for not only their internal staff, but for their external customers. And so our Wi-Fi engagement analytics solution, it's a bolt-on, it's an IoT solution. It's a software that layers on top of existing or new wireless technology like Meraki, Ubiquiti, Ruckus, you name the technology. As long as it's business or enterprise grade, it can work on top of that. Then it provides analytics and business intelligence that's really important to the marketing team, social media, um, customer experience, all these other facets of business that really aren't so much IT, but that can bring in revenue in terms of engaging with the customer. And it's just really incredible that you can really monetize your Wi-Fi. What was a CapEx or an operating expense for businesses can now be a new revenue stream if designed and used correctly.
All right, so I don't want to say sell me this pen, but let's pretend for a second I'm a customer, right? And I do have a pen. So let's say I'm a customer. I've got Meraki's or like you mentioned one of these other platforms, and I'm thinking, well, I've got Wi-Fi, I've got some analytics. Like what is it additionally that this does? What are the data points that are pulled out of this platform that you use, and what how does that work? How does that help them?
Sure. So, hopefully we're going to be coming out of winter, sometime in the near future. I know you're dealing with a snowstorm out there in Salt Lake, but yeah, spring training is coming up kind of upon us, right? I mean, if you're a baseball fan, like a lot of us are, you're probably looking forward to opening day. It's coming up in a couple months, right? So imagine you're going to the ballpark, right? And you have thousands, tens of thousands of fans, coming into that stadium, and it's near impossible to get a good, cellular signal, whether you're talking about 4G or 5G data. So all the ballparks now offer managed Wi-Fi for those, for their customers. So when you sign on to managed Wi-Fi, the old days you'd have a little, place card or a piece of paper. Here's your Wi-Fi password, right? Um, but with our solution, we're going to create single sign-on opportunities for customers. So you can sign on with Facebook, you can sign on with LinkedIn, you can sign on with Instagram. You're creating single sign-on opportunities for customers so that when you sign into Wi-Fi, you're one creating a making it easier opportunity for the customers to sign in, but two, the customer, in this case, the ballpark or the owner of that, can then gain a lot of business intelligence about their customers. It knows that you've had male and females of a certain number using a certain device and language have logged into your system. You can then target that customer with coupon opportunities or marketing incentives to come back to that stadium for not only the next ball game, but things like a concert that might be coming into town. And you can also customize what's called the access journey. So after you've logged into the Wi-Fi, instead of just saying, "Hey, Mr. Customer, here's your end user license agreement, go ahead and have some fun," you can actually tailor a journey or experience so that after you sign in, you can show them like a quick little video, or perhaps if it's cold outside, so you can have this access journey tailored not only to the operating system, whether it's Android or Apple or the language of that user, but based on other factors like the weather. So imagine you go into opening day. I'm in Philadelphia, and it can be really cold, it can be bright and sunny, it can be rainy, right? So imagine you're going to the ball game out here, and it's cold outside, it's frigid. You've logged on to that Wi-Fi. You can actually get an email coupon or an SMS notification to that user say, "Hey, come to the apparel shop, get a discount on a fleece or a rain jacket," wherever the case might be. So there's really marketing opportunities, both immediate and near term, that you can use to engage with that customer. And it can be customized in all sorts of different ways. The age of the user, the operating system, the weather outside, the location in question. So think about a multi-site retailer. You might have a different promo going on in the Northeast versus the Southeast region of the country, or Mountain West versus Pacific Northwest, and so on, right? So there's all sorts of ways to really customize that journey and experience for a customer. That's really incredible.
Got it. All right, so that makes sense. From a profitability perspective, right? If maybe we'll get into a little more of this in the end when we talk about some of the questions to ask and how to go down this journey. From a profitability perspective, and we talk about, the title of this track is "The Secrets to Monetize," Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Is that, how can somebody figure out what the profitability on that is going to be like? Is it based on the clicks? Is it based on who they bring in for ads? What's that side of it look like? Clue us in there.
Yeah, really good question. So the ROI could really vary by customer. If you're like a high-end retailer, you might just be looking to gain more knowledge about the customers themselves, how often they're coming to your stores, repeat customers, to be able to offer them a better experience. Others are really trying to bring in new revenue, like that ballpark or an NBA stadium or an NFL stadium, or a trampoline park, right? So everybody has a different return on investment. Healthcare organizations, we have a very unique solution for that. They're really trying to enhance patient experience, which is, this nebulous thing that takes into account, basically the post doc surveys and all sorts of other things, maybe about their hospital stay and so forth. So the CX is a variable that customers might be hoping to improve on. But really, it's varied by customer, and each solution is really tailored to that particular business. So it's not a one size fits all. This is really solution selling at its finest, in my opinion.
So, so that helps. Walk me through then. You mentioned something there from a medical perspective. So what about, like, let's say we've got those guys out there that are going, patient information, PII, I don't want you to track it. I don't trust anybody. Is this compliant with that? Do we need to worry about that? What's
Yeah.
your answer for that?
Yeah, great question. So, whether you're a healthcare organization or just a retailer, the customer owns all this information. Again, when you're signing into Wi-Fi, there's a quick little end user license agreement that the users of the Wi-Fi are agreeing to the terms and conditions, right? When the customer signs on with Facebook or whatever, the customer has the option to, one, not provide that information, their gender, their age, all that sort of thing. But also, the customer is the one who owns this, not Telesystem. It's not housed in our data centers. It's integrated with the customer's CRM or perhaps the electronic medical record system in the case of a health organization. So I didn't even mention that. This integrates with CRMs like Salesforce or HubSpot, or in the case of a health organization, Epic or MyChart. So that's really where the data is housed, and it's really up to the customer to secure that moving forward.
Got it. Awesome. Good answer. Okay, so I want to get into the weeds. I want to hear about an example or a win or a use case. Just walk me through, what were you told the problem was, and hey, Shawn, I need your help on this customer environment. And then when you got in, what did it look like? What was the tech stack? And then ultimately, what did you put in place and what did it do?
Yeah. So I think a great use case is a trampoline park. We're talking about a national franchise that a lot of us have been to before. So Josh, you mentioned you have 3 kids at home. Depending on their age, you guys have probably been to some of these trampoline parks. There's a few bigger brands out there, a rainy day or when it's cold outside, it's a great place to bring the kids. They get exercise, they get to have some fun, jump with their friends and all that kind of stuff. But during COVID, a lot of these businesses like restaurants and retailers were really hurting, right? And imagine franchises where you have, these are franchises, right? So you have business owners who are purchasing various Wi-Fi technologies, whether it's Meraki or Ubiquiti or Ruckus or Aerohive. So they have all these disparate technologies, but they don't really have any solution that can be centralized or consistent throughout that, to have a great brand identity for their customers, right? So one, they're losing revenue. 2, they have all these disparate technologies throughout throughout their deployments. And so what we did was we talked to their IT staff, we talked to the ownership team, and they're like, well, now how can we engage more effectively for the customers? How can we deploy this easily? And then how can it work with different technologies? So what they were hoping to achieve there at these trampoline parks was to engage with the customer. So one, the parent goes there, and you've probably been in this boat too, Josh. You or your wife will go to visit the trampoline park. You could be there for a couple hours, right? So maybe you're going to do some work. Maybe you're just going to get on social media. Maybe you're going to stream the NFL game that's on over on a Sunday afternoon, right? So you're going to connect to the Wi-Fi. When you connect to the Wi-Fi, again, you're going to be using your single sign-on credentials. You're going to sign into the Wi-Fi, and then you can engage these customers to let them know, hey, look, Mr. Customer, here's a coupon to go to our concession stand. That's one revenue stream that a lot of people are missing out on. They have this concession stand to sell, ices or water, pizza, whatever for the kids and the adults there. And a lot of times it's just sitting in the corner. It's not really being utilized, and they're not making enough money off of that. 2, you can let the customer know, hey, here's a discount to come back next week, next month. Here's 50% off to come back again. Oh, and by the way, for only a little bit more, you can have a monthly membership. So for only $30 a month, you can do this. And oh, hey, members will also get a discount on their birthday parties. If you guys haven't been to a birthday party at one of these trampoline parks, it's awesome. They do a great job. You can have 20 kids jumping jumping like crazy, getting all tired. So when you get them home, they're ready for bed. It's a great idea. And so we put the solution together for the trampoline parks that was consistent pricing per access point. So again, the pricing for this solution is based on per access point, right? It doesn't matter if you have Meraki or Ruckus or whatever. The deployment's easy. So Telesystem goes into the works with IT staff, logs into say the Meraki dashboard, licenses it per access point. It's only a few minutes per access point to do this. Where the real legwork comes in, though, is working with the business ownership team, the marketing team, about creating that customer journey and what they're hoping to achieve. So we worked with that ownership team and said, obviously, they want to bring in revenue. They also wanted to educate parents about their cleaning standards to think about we're coming out of COVID. They're worried about parents are worried about, hey, is this place clean? And obviously, talk about all these other cleaning methods that they had, even including like some misting machines that clean down the foam pits, right? So parents could be assured of that, of their kids being safe. So we had like this, better engagement, new revenue opportunities, and education for their customers that can be consistently adopted throughout all these franchises around the company, and they're jumping on it left and right. When opportunity arises when there's new construction, Telesystem can also deploy our own Wi-Fi as part of that. But that's just one solution, and there's so many use cases where you're talking about large venues like casinos that we've deployed that, other stadiums like we're working with that, hopefully a Major League Baseball team here in Philadelphia, but we have other large venues in West Texas where they have rodeos and minor league hockey and arts and craft shows and so forth. So there's lots of opportunities there. Another one is co-branding. So imagine that big arena, Citizens Bank Park or Toyota or Wells Fargo Center. Your splash page could be co-branded with that other sponsor. So that can either completely or very drastically reduce the price to that customer, right? And a big company like Wells Fargo would probably be happy to have their brand out there even more, right? So there's opportunities there to even defray the cost.
Cool. Good stuff. All right. Good examples.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It all sounds great and awesome and easy, and everybody needs it. I want to hear the challenges. What, as you get into this and you have these conversations, if partners are, excited about wanting to go talk to the customers about these, have you thought of these type things? What are some of the challenges that you face, and how do you talk through that?
Sure. The challenges sometimes are most of the time as a service provider, or maybe in your case as a telecom broker, we're working with IT staff, right? So we're selling an IT solution, and a lot of times the IT guy, the IT person doesn't want to take on another product that's going to make their job more difficult. So getting them to understand, getting the key stakeholders to really understand who this product would benefit is certainly one challenge to overcome. And that, I think, with this product is kind of easy. We make sure that it's the easy button for the IT staff. Either we're taking that on or making the load for them very simple, upfront, and only one time. But then it's just navigating to the right people, the marketing, the business ownership team, social media outreach, customer experience, patient experience. So it's navigating to the correct stakeholders. And then two, working through that access journey efficiently. So they have to have, somewhat of a plan in place like that, like the case study they gave you with the trampoline parks. So what we try to do is, highlight case studies that are in the same business vertical as they are. So, retail, restaurants, hospitality, like hotel chains, those large venues. When you have something that has already been done before and replicated, hopefully it's easier to do that for this particular business and maybe tweak it a little bit here or there.
Yeah.
But making sure that they know the right use case and how to quickly design that solution is important too, because you don't want to be spending days or weeks or months even, planning our rollout, right? You want to start monetizing that right away. So I think those are three challenges, but we've worked through enough that I think we know how to navigate that.
Yeah, I think part of your biggest one here is that there might be some preconceived notions that, but my Wi-Fi stuff I got right now gives me analytics. Obviously that's true. Wi-Fi gives you analytics. That's certainly, but not a real easy way to monetize it and lock it up and SSO and do the things that this do. So that's a cool add-on.
Yeah, exactly. Like Meraki is a great solution. We sell Meraki, right? We love Meraki, Meraki wireless access points, the firewalls, the whole nine. And you can gain a little bit of insight. So I can see, when a Apple user, what I can see the MAC addresses, the IP addresses, the the places that they're visiting on the web and so forth, right? So I can even see where they are if I've overlaid a floor plan on top of that dashboard. But I can't really gain that same level of activity. I can't see the preponderance of data like male versus female, what they like on social media,
Right.
how often they've been to this particular location, what times of day that they're coming, and so forth. Although you might be able to see time of day in a Wi-Fi dashboard too. But it's just the preponderance of data that is so much easier. And it's you can schedule those reports to have come to you every day, week, or month. You can go into the dashboard to run hundreds of different reports that just aren't there with Wi-Fi technology. And unfortunately, a lot of times customers have Ruckus here and Aruba there and Meraki there, and so you'd have 3 or 4 different dashboards to log into and figure all this out. This is one pane of glass that can tie everything together for you.
Good. Okay. All right. So I know we mentioned in the beginning there are other services that you guys have. We've talked about this one, which is more on the Wi-Fi, the analytics space, but I look at this in kind of the wireless and IoT bucket. Any other offerings there that you guys have that you want to make sure that we get a shout out for? You mentioned the Wi-Fi add-on, you mentioned the Wi-Fi itself, but anything else you want to throw out there?
Sure. So we've actually just recently rolled out an IoT solution, a true IoT solution using proprietary sensors. And we've talked to Chris Whitaker about this and Jason Kaufman, who sales engineer in the Southeast, and I think they're very excited about this too because the adoption rate of IoT has been, I would say, it's been slower than we would have liked. Like when you started selling SD-WAN and UCaaS, it just took off, right? Everybody needed it right away, and it was just so amazing to see that growth. IoT's been a little bit slower, I'm not going to lie. So what we've done is kind of create some case studies and how it might benefit certain businesses. So if you're talking about a restaurant supply chain that we've recently deployed some temperature sensors to and so forth, right? We have use cases for manufacturing, maybe healthcare with asset tracking, and others that can really create efficiencies and effectiveness, to quote Chris, for their business. So it's really just talking to your existing customers, and that's the challenge that I think we have with some of our partners too. A lot of them are kind of headset on selling just certain technologies. They everybody knows UCaaS and bandwidth and SD-WAN, right? That's the wheelhouse for a lot of them, the bread and butter. Getting into other things can be a little bit tricky sometimes. So that's where you engage my team. That's where you engage Telesystem, our sales engineering team, your regional channel manager. We'll work through those use cases with you. We'll do a deep dive into our IoT solutions or maybe even cybersecurity and talk to you about security awareness training. It's very easy to get into certain technologies that Telesystem has at their disposal, and you can really bring in new revenue. And yeah.
Love it. Good. There's a lot of depth in that portfolio, certainly, and I think that's helpful because I always have this phrase of second money is easier than first money. So if you can maximize your spend in an account, in as the customers are trying to consolidate or lay off or whatever, you guys happen to have an answer. So definitely I want to double down on encouraging everybody to reach out to your channel team and yourself if they haven't yet. So good stuff. Okay, final couple thoughts here. So I'm excited. I'm a partner. I want to go talk about this. I want to go sell it. Maybe I haven't sold anything with Telesystems before. Maybe I want to go down some of this Wi-Fi, IoT, analytics kind of space. I'm a big questions guy. I love giving people questions to just open the conversation, see where the interest is. What's your approach there with maybe partners that haven't ventured down this track? Is it questions? Is it a business conversation? What do you advise them on?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Josh. So, what are questions that can open the door? When it comes to Wi-Fi engagement analytics, it's, hey, Mr. Customer, have you ever thought about monetizing your Wi-Fi, or do you know how you can monetize your Wi-Fi? That's just the way I start that conversation all the time because everybody's like, "What do you mean by that? I have no idea what you're talking about. I spend $200 a month on this Meraki solution, and it's great, but what do you mean by monetizing it?" So that's the easiest way to start that conversation, I think, first and foremost. And then of course, like, when a customer is, hey, Mr. Customer, what do you what is your Wi-Fi technology? Are you looking for any technology refresh? And things along those lines, because as Wi-Fi has evolved, a lot of customers have just outgrown it, whether they're not getting enough throughput, they've maxed out the number of users that are supported on a particular access point or technology, right? So, how old is your Wi-Fi technology? Things along those lines. The same way you might go into a solution trying to sell UCaaS. What type of phone system do you have? What type of Wi-Fi technology do you have? If you have, an old Linksys, an old Linksys router hanging off your cable modem for a retail shop, that might not be the best fit for you now. So yeah, I think it depends on that partner. If you're an MSP, you probably can talk about that a little bit easier. If you're a traditional kind of telco reseller and bandwidth kind of shop, just reach out to us and we can help you navigate that.
All right, final thoughts here. So, we're talking about a rapidly evolving industry when we talk about wireless and IoT and that. If you look out 12 months, 12, 18 months, whatever it might be, any thoughts there that you want the partners to be aware of, that you're seeing trends-wise, things that are changing? Do we double down on everything that you just mentioned so far and start that talk track, or anything else as you look into your crystal ball?
Yeah, no, just that, Wi-Fi 6 is really a game changer in a lot of ways. And I think I talked about it earlier on that, just with the number of devices that it can support, the greater throughput that's never existed before. It's now kind of opening up other opportunities for us as service providers to help out our customers. So again, if you recall from earlier, I said that Wi-Fi 6 can support the 1.5 gig, but most customers only have 1 gig switches. So they deploy this really great fancy new hardware, and then they're like, wow, I'm only getting 900 meg or whatever the case might be. Well, then you have to take a look at, go into the hood a little bit, look at what else is in their infrastructure. So it's just another opportunity for that customer, that MSP, that partner, to sell them, new switches, maybe upgrade their wiring and so forth. So it's a holistic view of technology that can just open up more doors for you. I'd say, it's Wi-Fi 6 that's really evolved quite a bit. It's going to continue to evolve as far as that throughput's concerned. That's what's really exciting for me. And there's talk of a new spectrum coming out, 6 gigahertz, that I haven't learned all that much about yet. But, again, a lot more to come.
Sweet. Good stuff. All right. Go talk to the customers, and I guarantee if you ask them, are you monetizing your Wi-Fi, not a lot of them are going to say yes. So would love to see how those conversations go. Good stuff. Yeah. All right. Shawn, appreciate you coming on, man. That wraps us up for today.
Thanks, Josh. All right. Have a great day.
Okay, everybody. That's it. Wraps us up. I'm your host, Josh Lopresto, SVP of Sales Engineering at Teleris. Shawn Nace, SE Manager at Telesystems. Until next time, this is Next Level Biz Tech.
Next Level Biz Tech has been a production of Teleris Studio 19. Please visit Teleris.com for more information.